Welcome to another episode of Harbor Rock Wealth Management's podcast series, Life, Health, and Wealth. My name is Ruben Smith, and as always, I'm joined by my good friend and partner, Jimmy Luster.
Feels
Welcome.
good. Feels good to be back.
We have taken a hiatus for those who may or may not have noticed.
Yeah, a little break from being in the studio. I think it was needed though. We put out 60 or just about 60 or so pieces of content in about a year.
Yeah.
And if you would have told me a year ago from May that we were going to have that, I'd call you a liar.
Yeah, I think
There's
our
no
goal
way.
was one a month, maybe like two
And
if
I
we got
remember-
something good going.
Yeah, I remember telling someone that too when we launched it. I'm all, yeah, we're doing a podcast. And they're, oh, cool. Like, how many are you putting out a week? And I'm like, gosh, maybe one a month. And they're all, nah, that's not going to work. And this is someone who knows what they're talking about. Like, they're all, look, you need more content. You need to reach people. There's so much competition out there. And while we're not trying to compete with Joe Rogan, as we
Right.
tell people all the time, you still need to throw stuff out there to keep the attention of people and keep it interesting.
Yeah,
I mean,
you got to keep it fresh, man.
there's a performance element to it and
I
an
get it.
entertainment value along with information and education. So,
Yeah. So we're here today for a special reason.
yeah. So, as many of our viewers know, we're just about a month past our 2-year anniversary.
We're a little tardy on that, but yeah, we hit 2 years.
It's a lot going on. Or not. I don't know.
Well, like you said, it was time for a break, whether we actually expected it to happen or not. It just happened naturally, and we didn't really fight it. But
I think it's good to step out of it for a minute every once in a while. You have to do that because when you're in it, it's like any relationship or knee deep in work or eye deep in work sometimes.
you
get blinders or something. You need to step back, kind of take a look at what's going on and appreciate it,
right,
enjoy it, and then get back to work.
Yeah, I've been missing this room though. I've been missing the studio. We've I think we've really got it dialed in now.
Yeah.
So I think for today we're going to go through kind of our thoughts on the last 2 years.
Yeah.
We're also going to go through maybe what didn't work and what did work. And thankfully there's more that worked in the last 2 years than didn't. And then kind of talk about what's on the horizon for Harbor Rock Wealth Harbor Rock Wealth Management.
Yeah. So interesting. So in preparation for this, I looked up a couple things, and one of the things I looked up was financial advising businesses specifically.
Okay.
And while we weren't new to the industry and new to this kind of work, this is still a new business.
Still new.
So I looked up a percentage of new financial advising businesses that make it past 2 years, and only 10 to 20%.
Really?
Yeah,
Really?
Yeah.
Wow.
So I love that we're on the right side of
Okay.
of that
Sure.
of that stat. So thank you everyone for making
absolutely.
that possible. And sometimes it takes a little while to find your rhythm. And another interesting thing I found today was, speaking of rhythms is the longest word in the English language with no vowels.
With no vowels.
Yeah. And it's funny how it sounds what a rhythm. It sounds so nice.
You got a nice rhythm to that rhythm.
Nice rhythm to that.
Yeah. Cool.
And last useless piece of information today. Hey, we gotta make some people laugh. So the longest, those of you that know me may know that I like to cook. I know you do too. But I have lots of recipes, and I try a lot of recipes out. The oldest recipe on record is 4,000 years old, and it was like in Sumeria.
Okay.
I believe it said, and it was for beer.
Really?
Yeah, and it was written on a tablet, and it was honey, barley,
There you
wheat.
go.
It referenced all of the basics,
Yeah.
still this day that we use for
Interesting.
making beer for over 4,000 years.
I was going to go with bread, but
Right?
by then it's probably they just knew how to make it. So
Yeah,
why write it down?
They just do it kind of like my mom used to. She's like, it's a little of this, a little of that. I don't really have it written down. So. But anyway, yeah. So what should we start off by, talking about gratitude in this business?
I think when you and I talked, and we talk a lot, but when we talk about this business and where it's gone over the last 2 years, the core of it is gratitude. You know, there's a lot of moving parts in the beginning, and it takes those clients that came with us initially and that have come over since, a bit of trust, you know, that and belief in us that we have what it takes to make this work out, and obviously it has. You know, we're very, very thankful.
Well, and just as like our clients, we always used to remind them, hey, change is change. Even if we know it's good change, and they might even have an inkling that it's good, but it's still scary. Like change is scary,
Sure.
and especially anything financially related when you get into something that's working, and you know you kind of feel good about the resources that came with that relationship, and you know maybe an idea of who's standing behind it.
Yeah.
That's a big deal to make that change.
Right.
And that talk about the ultimate trust, and that's just a mark to those kind of relationships that you largely had with some folks that helped us really build the foundation of Harbor Rock.
Well, I feel like as I progress in my career, the more I become open and honest, and I don't say honest, but I guess vulnerable with my clients. And I think that resonates through our business. I mean, it seems like pretty much every review we do with a client, we give them an update on the business. I think it's important.
Yeah.
You know, we feel like we are truly in partnership with our clients, and because without them, Harbor Rock would not be here.
Yeah.
But it works both ways, you know. So they may not be where they are financially, without us as well. So it's truly a partnership that we have with our clients, and also, you know, part of our objective was to get involved in the community.
Yeah.
You know, so
I'm so glad that wasn't something that we just talked about and didn't do, because that happens too. You have
just
killer intentions and
put it on the objectives, but never get to it.
yeah, and it's just like, you know, you kind of fall short sometimes
Right.
when you, especially in the beginning, when you overextend your promises.
You're excited. You have a lot of ideas.
Yeah, you're
right?
like, I want to do that, and I want to get out there, and I
Yeah.
want to clean up the beach, and I want to do this and that, and hey, let's make centerpieces, and let's you know, let's have a glass of wine, and you know, listen to some music.
Man.
Like
Yeah.
there was a lot of cool things that we were doing, and I'm glad they weren't things that I'm glad they're things that we were absolutely hands on.
Yeah, we rolled up our sleeves and did it.
You know, it wasn't let's write a check to this organization and them, and
No.
hey, money makes the world go round and it solves a lot of problems, but you know, the lasting pieces are when they see you physically there. You got a piece of trash in your hand from the beach. You know, it's just things like that.
Yeah.
I think we're really building some solid relationships.
Absolutely.
In the community.
Yeah, I'm excited about what we've done within the community here locally, and then also where it's going to go.
Yeah.
But also we relied heavily on some industry leaders, some people within our business that we value their opinion.
Mentors need mentors.
Absolutely.
You know?
And you know who you are.
Yeah.
But they really help shape a lot of, you know, of how we operate on a day-to-day with Harbor Rock Wealth Management.
Yep.
One of them did not give us the idea of a podcast, but because of their idea, we decided, let's do the podcast.
Yeah.
So,
Yep. It's been fun. Yep.
yeah. So filled with gratitude. It's been a you know, quite the experience. I would do it again in a heartbeat.
Oh yeah.
I would do it all over again in a heartbeat. There's no regrets at all.
Yes, I agree.
And I should say there's no ill will against the firm that we left either.
Oh, no.
It was just time for us to move
No,
on.
in many ways, kind of. Thanks for making it happen.
Absolutely.
You know. So what? Let's talk about what worked and didn't work. Maybe start with what didn't work.
You know what? So you talk
couple
about getting excited. You know, when you're starting at a new company and you hear about all the things that you have access to. And one really good thing about LPL is that you really do have access to a lot of things. One bad thing about LPL, and not a lot of bad, but it's true of a lot of firms like LPL, is that you have access to a lot of things. And so I think in the beginning no
joke.
I don't know if we bit off more than we could chew, but we we subscribed to a few different programs
Yeah.
that were a little bit more labor intensive to make it all connect. And
Yeah, they actually took more time to learn and manage than it was pulling away from doing what we really needed to do here.
right. So there's a couple of our processes that were a bit convoluted, a little bit overkill. It was almost redundant in some of the client notes and things that we were doing. So we streamlined that pretty quick.
Learning curve. Yeah.
Yeah, but hey, and along with bringing clients over and modeling portfolios and all that stuff, there was just a lot in the beginning. So we quickly stripped back a lot of that with the idea that if we feel like there's a hole in our practice, then we can always add that later.
That's a good point.
So
good point.
I can safely say that what worked, the list of what worked for us is much longer than what didn't work.
Yeah, yeah.
I think the main thing that worked for us is that we stuck to what we've always stuck to, and that was our planning focus process.
Yep.
You know, to make a shift like this and then change how you operate with clients is not going to work. And I think that's what built trust with our clients for many years before we even came over here, was to stay planning focused and then allow the plan to come back in and determine certain holes that we see, whether it's from an asset allocation standpoint, an insurance standpoint, cash flow, you name it.
Yeah. And I think that was important. It's like a playbook, you know. Let's say like a football playbook or anything. And various teams out there are known for doing certain things really well, you know, and you have to have all the plays for that one moment that you need to use it in a situation. But it kind of reminds me of something like that. Like at first we kind of overwhelmed ourselves with trying to learn and utilize so many things in the system. And that's great. Now we know some of these things are out there, so we can use them appropriately if we need to go back to. We're a little more educated, a little more familiar with some of these things. But at the root of what we do well, it almost seemed like at times a little, are we doing enough? Is it too simple? You know, are we really giving our clients the best experience and doing right by them by not using some of these things? And I think we found out simply what was necessary, what wasn't.
Yeah.
And always go back to your roots and what you do. Like, what do we do? We had to remind ourselves, like, what are we doing here?
Right.
We're planning focused. Everything else comes from that. It fingers out from that. And I think we kind of started finding out those 3 or 4 plays instead of the 100 plays that are in the playbook.
Right.
Hey, let's stick to these. Let's get really good at these.
Yep.
And we can move on from there and complement with all these other things.
Absolutely. And so that bleeds right into the portfolio construction. So in the beginning, for those of you clients, you may remember, we about 6 months into the business, we shifted away from one of the models, and it was nothing wrong with the model, but I felt like taking more ownership over that would be more impactful and actually save the client fees, and it was just it was a win-win.
Yes, yeah.
When we really looked at it, but again, in the beginning, you're kind of drinking out of a fire hose, and you don't really. There's a lot to grasp, so I wouldn't change anything about it, but. So taking ownership over the portfolio, well, now we have full discretion, or have the ability to have full discretion over portfolios. Mm-hmm. And if you have access to essentially the full universe of mutual funds, ETFs, you know, all these investment options, it can be a bit daunting. But now, having more time back in our day, I was able to go and create not only the focus income strategy, which is more geared towards our pre-retirees or retirees that are looking at income.
Yep.
But as well as our core portfolios, and really being able to take the time to think outside the box and do my due diligence before we implemented those. So, the big thing there is that when markets shift, we have the ability to be nimble and also get creative and think outside the box. I think the next decade, call it, in markets are going to be a little bit more challenging than what we saw perhaps in the last 10 years. and there's constantly the investment industry is constantly evolving, whether it's this mass shift from mutual funds to ETFs or how they're investing using a lot of derivative type funds. It's our job to stay on top of that and find ways to implement that inside of clients' portfolios where it's a fit.
Yeah, and really well put. And congratulations again on creating focused income.
Yeah,
I think it's something that you've been asking for a long time at our previous firm, and
I've never had an investment baby, but this might be the first one.
yeah, and with the clients, a lot of our clients' needs in mind, this was non-negotiable.
Yeah,
You had to have it. You didn't have access to it before, and nothing against our old firm. That's just not what they talk about. What doing something well. That's not what they're designed to do.
right.
They had their few playbook pieces, and they did those well. And hey, we still use some of those strategies here and there. I mean, they manage money well. They have some good funds. So, but to get a little more granular with our clients, we were able to kind of take another level down, and really address a need.
I think what hits home for our clients is focusing on risk-adjusted returns, and that's kind of a phrase that's thrown out there a lot. But they're okay with taking risk, as long as we're confident that they're going to be compensated for this.
Yeah.
They also don't like to lose money, right? They don't like to see all the big swings in markets and the volatility. So,
Yeah.
When you focus on risk-adjusted returns, it's not always about only capturing the upside. It's oftentimes focusing as much attention, if not more, on making sure we're protected on the downside. So,
Yeah.
it's taken a bit of time to get those portfolios up and running, but I'm happy with where they're at and how they're handling markets over the last couple of years.
So aside from being an expert in providing income for clients without taking on too much risk, I think it'd be safe to say that we've also increased people's sleep habits. Maybe they're sleeping a little.
I hope so.
I'm not a pathologist, but I play one on the TV. But no, to be honest with you, that's what it's all about, right? Giving them we want to give clients a nice kind of level experience without too many peaks and valleys. And it's nice to be able to go to sleep at night and wake up and knowing you're okay.
Yeah.
Even when there's so much noise and not just noise, but real things happening out there that are affecting dollars and cents in people's futures, they know they're still going to be okay.
Yeah.
We're not a grand slam firm. We're not small ball.
No,
we're not.
no.
We can hit some doubles. We can get in the gap when we need to, but we're consistent.
Yeah.
It's a lot of consistency and transparency and very intentional moves.
Yeah. I think you're talking about where's your niche. Our niche really is in that pre-retiree to retiree market.
Yeah.
Those getting ready to have this massive transition out of the workforce, and then our goal is to get them into to obtain financial independence, right? Mm-hmm. And that's what we talk about, where we take that financial burden, those thoughts off their shoulders.
Yeah.
So now they can go out and live their life. They don't have to necessarily worry about the portfolio or keep an eye on markets or be glued to the TV to see what's going on.
Yeah, and I think a testament to that is we love to hear from our clients.
Sure.
But you know what? When there's mayhem going on, our phone's not ringing off the hook.
It really doesn't, and I don't.
That's a good sign.
It hasn't. My pretty much my whole career,
Yeah.
it hasn't, and at least, since I've started implementing planning and being very much focused on the planning side, and the longer clients work with us, the more they understand and they believe in the process and the team behind them.
Yeah.
So
Love it.
So a couple things also that have worked is we've been able to expand our offerings as well. When you talk about financial planning, we're looking at all aspects of someone's financial plan. Mm-hmm. So we've been able to partner with Brandon over at Polaris Financial for
Thank
clients.
you, Brandon. You've been wonderful.
Absolutely, for clients' insurance needs. And talk about a very niche specific industry that you really need an expert in. It's very nice to be able to bounce ideas off Brandon and game plan for clients as far as creating strategies. We talked about community involvement. I think that's only something that's going to grow for us. It's truly a passion of ours. We've picked up trash on the beach. We did the flowers in the courtyard here. We've had a taco truck out here. We played in a couple golf tournaments for local charities.
Yeah. That's been good.
We've had a lot of fun. And then also what's worked is this podcast. I mean, talk about
it's been fun.
I hope every client that's listening to this remembers that this is purely your podcast. So right now we're right around 100 households.
Yeah.
So this is for the 100 households. That's purely what it is.
Yeah.
So we're going to bring content and continue to bring you content that we think you might find of interest or valuable, and obviously any topics that you think you'd like us to talk about, please reach out, let us know.
And we've reminded you before that first and foremost, we are your financial planners and wealth management.
Yes. Yeah.
So I just want to continue. We're sustaining that. We're not being picked up. We're not being headhunted to take this show on the road, so to say. So when we do take a break like this, a big part of that is because there might be a little more complexities to our planning needs that require us to address those, and it did help us in the last month or so. I think you were pulled away to tend to some things that needed your attention.
Right, and that happens.
And we absolutely can and will. That's what we do. So.
Sure.
Yeah.
So moving forward, what's on the horizon for Harbor Rock?
Well, gosh, I mean, I think what's great is again, we're at about 100 households right now, and we in our reviews in the first half of the year here, we have shared with clients that a number that we think might be where we want to be, and that'd be another 20 to 30 households. So the answer is we are taking on new clients. I think we're continuing to hone in on what kind of clients we want to work with, and simply put, it's more of you guys out there,
right?
And when we started this a couple of years ago, it was very intentional on who we reached out to, and if we didn't reach out to someone, it wasn't personal, really. It was we had an idea of what we want this business to look like and who we want to service and what we enjoy doing, and all those things put together, and where we can be impactful, and we want more of those. So, yes, we would love to meet new folks, and I think this podcast has been a great marketing tool for us to network in that sense.
Yeah.
We don't get paid for this, folks. We're not sponsored or something like that. So this little time that we put into this project is very important to not only educate our clients on various financially related topics and lifestyle topics, and kind of keep it fresh, but it allows us to meet more folks out there outside of our inner circle of partners financially that we work with, like our attorneys or CPAs or insurance folks or things like that. So I think the pace is sustainable. I think we're at a good pace. I think I'm excited to meet a few more folks in the community.
It's this interesting. We're in this interesting position, and this actually happened early on with Harbor Rock. Is things were starting to happen even before the podcast. We've had conversations about. It's almost like we're sitting back and watching this unfold. And if we stick to our process and we stick to what we do well, it'll all work out.
Yeah.
And so it's been a quite enjoyable 2 years, really just kind of going through it and watching this transform and putting brick up in this office, and it's been very enjoyable. So again, thank you to all the clients out there, all of our clients out there that trust us and we really owe everything to you guys. We
Yeah.
wouldn't be here without you, for sure.
Yep. Well said.
So as far as the next 2 years, yeah, I'm open to anything. I'm completely open. I don't know what it's going to look like. I think we have an idea of total households that we would like to get to at some point, but it's not out of necessity. So we're going to be fairly selective with the clients that come on board. And we'll see where it goes. It's been a fun ride.
I think it's important to be in the present.
Yeah.
You know, like, and it's easy to go, gosh, I wonder what the next 2 to 5 to 10 years will look like. You know, my dog's turning 3 this summer, and it's going too fast, Rube. You know, little Chili's we got to slow down. You know, it's easy to look ahead sometimes, and when you're excited and things are going well. But I think one thing that you and I both do is we really try to, hey, it's important to have a plan. What do we say? Plans. The only thing about a plan is that it's guaranteed not to go to plan.
Not to go according to plan. Yeah.
You got to make some moves. You got to be flexible. You got to be fluid. And I think we show up every day ready to roll and ready to work for our clients. You know, we strap it on and we get after it. But
sure.
But I think staying in the present, staying grounded. You can't create more time. You can surely try to do the most with it you can, and that is an element of slowing it down a little bit. So, yeah, thanks for all the support to everybody out there. I mean, it's been good. It feels like we've done so much in 2 years. I can't wait for for tomorrow at least, right? Or later today,
or later today.
Yeah.
Awesome. Well, thank you for tuning in. Like I said, if you have any suggestions for topics you'd like us to cover, please don't hesitate to reach out, and we'll see you next time. Thank you.